oh, I got to pick up running because I want to get fit again. No, you do not. You do not have to pick up running.
That is honestly something that people need to hear.
Yeah.
You don't need to run.
You don't need to run.
There's so many different forms of cardio that you can do. Mm-hmm. We're going to do salsa dancing.
Welcome to Pelvic POV with your hosts and doctors of physical therapy, Amanda Neary and Hannah Meyer.
Hey, pelvic freaks. Welcome back to another episode of Pelvic POV.
Where you're freaks for us and I'm freak for your pelvis, baby. I'm a freak for your pelvis. Sorry, I messed that up.
That was good.
Where you're freaks for us and we're freaks for your pelvis, baby.
It sounded like you were freestyling. and I'm freak for your pelvis.
I'm just a freak, okay?
Do I look like I'm on a yacht?
No, yeah. Which one do you want?
I don't know.
Yes, but no.
Right,
you know what I mean?
I'm not wearing like a skirt.
Yeah.
But I look like I'm at a pre-Labor Day outdoor party.
Yes.
Because of the white.
I could see that.
All the white. I'm at a white party with cheetahs. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
I've discovered
Lefty's popping. Right
oh my God. Get her in there. I knew it was a risk. Sorry, my boob fell out. It's back.
It's back.
I was going to tell you that I've discovered a new ick.
Okay.
And it's not even just with men, even though mostly it is with men.
Okay.
Anyone.
Uh-huh.
There is never a time and place where an impression of a celebrity is okay. Especially in a group setting.
Okay, but at all ever?
Any besides your Borat impression, that's okay.
That's not a celebrity, that's a character.
Okay, I mean impressions in general.
Okay. I don't love them.
Yeah. Okay, if I'm with you, like you, if I do an impression, if I'm like in a group setting of people that I don't know,
yeah,
I'm not gonna have my go-to of whipping out an impression.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of examples where I'm like, yeah, rings a bell, like big ick. Mm-hmm. But yes, like a man in a group setting of people you don't know, you can tell it's probably like a nervous thing if that's happening.
Probably.
Which maybe that's why it's like you're not confident, but I don't know. Maybe we're being too harsh.
Maybe are we being bitches right now?
Maybe, but I am a bitch.
Yeah, it's fine.
I've owned it.
Yeah. Guys, we have some good reality TV coming up. We have Love Island USA.
Starting in June,
which I think this episode is going to come out after Love Island has already started. Mm-hmm. You know we're going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm going to watch it because Hannah gave me homework.
Yes.
I used to watch every season of Love Island, but I haven't in the past 2 years, and now I'm going to start again.
Good.
Then we have The Ultimatum, Queer Love Season 2, which... if you know me, you know I loved season 1. It was so good. And I think season 2 is going to be so much better because they have more representation. Like it's not just a masc and femme relationship. There's different types of queer relationships in it, which are cool.
When does it come out?
End of June. And the host, my problem with the show is that the host is not queer. And I feel like it'd be so much better if she was, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's still a great show.
Yeah.
So
I'll watch
excited.
it. If you watch Love Island, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to watch it anyways. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for reality TV.
I've seen a lot of random like new Netflix shows. Like, what was the one that I just passed?
Yeah, Austin was showing me one and he was like, should we watch it? And I said no, because Netflix reality TV shows are very like, I'm on guard with them.
Well, The Ultimatum is one.
I know. That's why I don't usually watch The Ultimatum.
The hetero Ultimatum is not, I don't like it.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
So, because I don't watch like Too Hot to Handle or like we watched Temptation Island for that bit and then we couldn't do it anymore.
I also feel like Too Hot to Handle, like I watched the first couple seasons and it was one of those shows where like it loses its edge after a couple seasons. Same with like Love is Blind, which we've had that talk before. The Netflix ones, they're like banging them out so quickly that it gives you nothing to look forward to. And like it's so repetitive and people figure it out so quickly. Mm.
Yeah. I love like a reality TV show on like Hulu or Max or something or Peacock. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm reaching towards. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is something that you would typically get for meeting the parents?
Meeting the parents, I go for flowers most of the time.
Yeah.
And like, I guess depending on the event, are you asking for a specific event?
Just in general, honestly.
I would say if I'm going to their house, I would do like flowers and a bottle of wine. If it's like a party, a dessert or an appetizer, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a cookout party. Yeah. I was thinking like a little, what I really wanted to do was like go to the farmer's market and like hand pick some like fresh like food and like fruits and vegetables and make like a little basket. But I don't have time for that. So plan B, I'm going to go to a Publican.
Nice.
And pick out some like meats and cheeses or something.
Can't go wrong.
And then potentially do the flowers thing like you said.
Yeah. Publican. It's my favorite little artisanal butcher shop. They have like all the crackers and spreads, and it's perfect for a charcuterie night.
Good.
So good.
That's
So
what
you
I
can get
need.
some good stuff there.
That's what I need. I need some like orange wine. I think that would be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Where should I go for an orange wine? Or like a natural wine or something?
I mean,
Whole Foods might.
Publican.
You think they will have some orange wine?
They have a lot of wine.
Okay, good.
Like something tiny like that. Whole Foods would have it
Yeah.
for like a bigger place. But we need a nice wine shop in West Loop.
Yeah. There's a new club coming to West Loop. I think it's gonna go where Girl and the Goat was supposed to be.
A club?
That would have been perfect for a wine shop.
Oh my God, a little wine bar?
Like where that Girl
a
and the Goat
lesbian wine
is.
bar?
Specifically.
It would have been perfect.
That would have been good. They missed their shot.
Literally.
No, Wesley wouldn't do that. Come on.
I know those freaks.
But if they did, that'd be freaking sick.
yeah.
No, apparently a new club called Carbon is opening up. It's probably going to
Great.
be like another Goodnight John Boy vibe.
Can't wait to see my ex there.
Something that I'm not going to go to.
Yeah, well, we won't be there. Have you
Yeah.
ever been to Good Night John Boy?
I have been one time.
I haven't.
I went once, but it was like when it was really dead. I think that the vibe, like the idea is there, but on Randolph Street, there's a line like 4 blocks down whenever you try to go. And it's just like, I don't really need that.
Yeah.
I don't really need to wait in line.
Don't need that in my life.
No, we don't do that.
I haven't been
I'm too
out.
impatient. It's hard enough for me to like get plans with friends to actually make it to the bars. No one ever is going to be up for standing in line.
Meeting the parents.
Yeah.
It's a big step.
Meeting the parents is a big step. First impressions are scary. Like you want to make sure you leave a good first impression. But I think people just overthink it too much. You just got to be yourself.
I do not get nervous to meet parents because I don't care what my parents think of someone. So I just embody that. And if they don't fuck with me, then that's not on me.
Yeah, that's so true. It's exciting to like get to know a little bit of your partner's backstory.
Yeah. I think there's
little bit of
fun. I
lore.
just don't get nervous about myself in it.
New lore unlocked.
Wow.
So I've been working out with a personal trainer lately, which you would think, Hannah, why would you do that? You used to be a personal trainer and you're a physical therapist. Just figure it out on your own. I need accountability. Okay. I need accountability and I need someone there making me do pull-ups because I'm not going to do pull-ups. And
You're
I'm
saying
not
pull-ups.
pull-ups. Yeah.
Pull-ups.
Pull-ups.
I've never heard you say that before.
What do you mean?
Pull-ups?
Pull-ups.
Pull-ups.
Why would you say it like that?
Pull-ups.
Pull-ups.
That was better.
Pull-ups.
Yeah. Pole. How do you say pole dancing?
Pole dancing.
Yeah, you just said pole normally there.
Yeah, pole dancing.
Pull-ups.
Pull-ups.
Yeah.
Pull-ups. Pull-ups.
Pull-ups.
It sounds the same every way I've said it, I swear to God.
I can't wait for you to hear this back.
Okay. Anyways, I'm not going to do pull-ups on my own. Did that sound right that time?
Yeah.
I need someone screaming at me.
Specifically screaming.
Becca doesn't scream at me.
I was going to say, no, she doesn't.
She laughs at me because I complain.
I agree. I think if people say that they don't need accountability just because they're a fitness professional, I think they're a dirty liar. And like everyone needs that in some capacity because everyone has something they don't enjoy doing that is good for them. It's like, yeah, if I could just freaking dance and walk all day, like if I didn't have to lift weights, I wouldn't. So when I do lift weights, I want a structured program and accountability in that.
Yeah. And the reason I'm doing heavier weightlifting is 1, I think we as women should all be lifting heavy.
Especially in our 30s. That's when you start losing muscle.
Yeah. And also for our bone density and everything, I think that we should all be weightlifting. Even if you're postpartum, like especially if you're postpartum, okay, you just went from like not having to lift weight all the time to chronically having like at least minimum 20 pounds on your hip every single day, 24/7, lifting, putting down, putting into the bassinet and the carriage.
Bassinet.
What's the thing that they sleep in?
Bassinet.
Something different. Like the little thing in the nursery, the big little bed.
That's what I thought it was.
Crib.
You were thinking of crib? They sleep in a bassinet at first.
Crib, either
crib
way.
is like after 6 months.
Either way, when you're postpartum, you're going to be like putting your baby down in a bassinet, crib, and etc. Car seat, in and out. It's a lot more weight that you're taking on every day. You're picking up toys. You're picking up stuff off the ground. It's just like a whole game changer that could be solved if we get into more regular weightlifting, I think.
Yeah, you will never not benefit from lifting weights. In my opinion, it's gonna help your life in some way, and you can do it at whatever pace, whatever capacity is best for your body. But strength training and loading your muscles is always going to be a positive thing for you.
Mm-hmm. So the reason why I got into weightlifting specifically is because I pole dance, and I had this like hip injury, and it wasn't getting better, and I tried a lot of things. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just not training hard enough for like the tricks I'm trying to do, like the body weight tricks I'm trying to do. Like I need to lift heavier. I need to actually load my muscles more than just like some dumbbells. So it's been helping. I haven't had pain since I've started, or since like a few weeks after I started. And it kind of ties into what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, we're talking about weightlifting.
Whoa.
Look at that. Wouldn't you know?
Who would have thought?
Wouldn't you know? So you don't specifically have pelvic floor dysfunction that you're using weightlifting for, but we wanted to talk about weightlifting with pelvic floor dysfunction for pelvic floor dysfunction, how we use it in our treatment, because it is something we emphasize for so many, if not all of our patients at some point. Yeah, what the heck does weightlifting do for the pelvic floor? It makes you stronger. So we already have talked about, if you listen to our last episode on Kegels, we talk about exercises that are more effective at strengthening the pelvic floor than Kegels, or just that isolated contraction. And a lot of our body weight exercises are examples of those, like squats, glute bridges, lunges, RDLs in standing. And then a lot of these like Pilates-based exercises too that you can do on the mat. And any of those you can load and make a heavy lift out of, or load and progressively overload it with dumbbells. And that's going to contribute to pelvic floor strengthening. So we're using weightlifting in almost every single plan of care with patients.
So something that we commonly see in weightlifters, what do we see in our weightlifters? Incontinence and constipation.
Constipation, pain.
Yeah, pelvic pain. We see a lot of that. Maybe like a little bit of occasionally like a diastasis or a hernia or something in the abdomen. And what does that come from?
Usually improper coordination and too much of an increase in intra-abdominal pressure with pelvic floor dysfunction. So those were a lot of different conditions. So they can come from multiple things, but overuse of Valsalva maneuver, which we can talk about, improper coordination, pelvic floor tension over time. Usually all of those things contribute to pelvic floor tension. So we're seeing a lot of tension in our weightlifters. I will say treating incontinence in powerlifters specifically, it's my favorite time to treat incontinence because I feel like they get it so quickly. Once you retrain that coordination, they're so in tune with their body in that way already. And they're like, oh, I didn't know I just had to change that. And then it's like, great.
It's like quick
not
with
always,
it.
Not always quick, but yes, it gets there. Whereas I feel like
clicks
runners
in the
are
brain.
harder.
Okay.
Runners take longer.
Yeah, because running, it's a lot of like endurance, right? And with weightlifting, it's a lot of like quick, like concentric motion. And we can retrain. And a lot of people are holding their breaths. Holding their breaths.
So that's an important thing. We've talked about the Valsalva maneuver before, but it's a functional breath hold, and it is useful in weightlifting, specifically powerlifting, where you're going for your maximal effort lifts, because it can increase force production. So you can physically lift more weight with a breath hold than you can with an exhale in most cases. But you're really only needing that breath hold at your max. So most people do not need to train on a Valsalva. especially at lower rep sets, even up to 3, you probably should be doing that on an exhale, especially if you have a history of pelvic floor dysfunction, and then you want to save that breath hold for when you really need it on those maximal effort lifts. But what happens when you hold your breath is you're bringing this increase in intra-abdominal pressure into your abdominal wall. And where does air go? It wants to go where it can exit the body or where it can push against muscles that are weaker if you have that increase in pressure. So it's going to push against your abdominal wall. It's going to push down on your pelvic floor. So what the exhale does with weightlifting is you're giving that air an outlet. But if you're holding your breath, you're just creating pressure in that abdomen and you're holding it there. So if your abdominal wall is weak, it's not adequately distributing and absorbing that pressure, and then you're going to get more pressure on the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor can hold up in many cases and can still maintain continence. You're not always going to see leaking or issues with this, but over time, this can develop into an incontinence, which is a leaking with that increase in pressure. We would call it a stress incontinence in that case, or it can contribute to prolapse over time, some of those kind of conditions that we'll see.
Yeah. So a lot of times these weightlifters, these athletes will come in and they're confused because they are like, well, I weightlift, I'm really active, I'm strong, I should have a strong pelvic floor. Why is this happening? And that's because a lot of people think that the reason they're leaking is because their pelvic floor is weak, which yes, it could be weak, but like we've said in the past, the pelvic floor can build up tension, causing a weak pelvic floor or just causing the pelvic floor to function improperly, which is like the same signs as a weak pelvic floor. Mm-hmm. So like Amanda said, you know, the pressure can go down and down and down on the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is going to want to respond by trying to support that increase in load so that you don't have prolapse or that you don't have leakage. But at a certain point, if you're chronically breath holding, chronically valsalvating, especially with so much weight that you're lifting, that pelvic floor is just going to like learn to like stay taut and like that it thinks that it's supporting you in that way. I like to like think of the pelvic floor as like a human or something.
Yeah.
Like a little being. That's like how I think of it. But at some point, it's not going to be able to work that much over time.
Yeah.
It needs a break.
That was a great way to put it because, yeah, I mean, in theory, this population is already pretty strong. Why are they leaking? And it's a perfect example of how weakness is not always the contributing factor. It is often tension that we're treating that makes it difficult to coordinate and activate muscles accordingly to strengthen specific areas of the body.
Exactly.
Weightlifters, come see us.
Come see us. Like Amanda said, it could be a quick fix, but it depends on your case always. So we said urinary leakage, diastasis is another thing that we can see among weightlifters at times. Diastasis is a term used to describe the separation of your abdominal muscles. This is a common condition associated with pregnancy postpartum individuals, but can also be found in weightlifters if you're breath holding. Like Amanda said, that air is going to want to go either out your mouth or it's going to go on those weaker muscles. So it's going to go up onto your abdomen or your pelvic floor. And eventually those muscles are just going to give up. And then you can see a little bit of like bulging through the abdomen. You could get a potential hernia.
And we don't want that.
Yeah, hernia. Any other hernias could happen too. But
yeah, in most cases, a hernia will need surgical repair. And a diastasis, depending on the severity of it, can be eligible for surgery. But we see this in pelvic floor a lot postpartum. So it's not something we can't treat or help with the symptoms of. But if we're giving general advice on weightlifting, we're going to give you advice on how not to get to that place. And that's with working on your coordination and breathing. It's really just exhaling through the movement. And a lot of people lift weights by exhaling through just the sticking point, the hardest part of the movement. And then they'll inhale on the reverse. If you're doing a maximal effort lift or submax or heavy barbell lift in general, I'm trying to exhale through that entire movement. I'm not trying to inhale while I lower my squat and exhale while I raise it. I'm trying to breathe at the top, exhale through the whole thing. If I need a break at the bottom, I pause, I inhale, and then I exhale again on the way up. Because that's going to help train those muscles best.
Yeah. That's a good point, because a lot of times when we're retraining this, we will functionally put it with the patient as we're going to inhale as we lower, exhale as we lift, or we're exhaling against gravity. But when you do get into like these weightlifting, heavier weightlifting sets, then you do want to try exhaling through the whole movement.
Yeah, it'll help coordinate everything a little bit better.
For sure.
Yeah. And we do work on co-coordination in treatment too. So this is an example of where we might have you do a Kegel just to figure out coordination with the abdominal wall in sessions with us, not for homework. So we'll like retrain it with digital feedback with a finger inserted so we know what's going on there, so that you're not bearing down instead of drawing in. But then with your weightlifting movements, your pelvic floor is kicking in. If you're lifting a heavy weight, it's doing it. If you're coordinated well, it's going to do it automatically. So that's our biggest thing.
Do you ever have people do a Kegel when they're lifting heavy barbell stuff?
I have, for like a stress incontinence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for a Kegel with a power lifter.
Yep.
And it's usually I'll retrain it on like a squat, like a sub-max squat kind of thing. And then maybe have them do like 10 reps of that on their own a few times a week.
Yep.
As long as it's going well in the clinic. And then it just kind of translates with faster lifts too.
Yeah.
I do have people like practice a lot of jumping in different directions, changes of direction, seeing if there's any like leaking with that in the clinic. Because that's going to mimic your like cleans, jerks, where your heels might lift off the ground a little bit, some of those more intense power lifts. So practicing like the receiving of that weight, which I think we talked about with our like foot and ankle stuff too. That's really important for the pelvic floor kicking in too. So just making sure people are receiving weight well. They're wearing shoes that allow them to do that. They're lifting optimally for their body type. So if they need a lift on a squat for their heels, making sure we have that in place so that their weight can be received well too, to engage the pelvic floor.
Hell yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into it. I love working with weightlifters.
Are you cueing any like core engagement as well with weightlifters? What does that look like?
If we're doing, almost always, and especially if we're practicing on the exhale, I'm going to say I'm going to try to cue that TRA brace most of the time. And I'm going to have them. That's why I like the exhale the whole time. I think it's harder to keep that brace if you're inhaling without creating some form of tension elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, okay, we're going to exhale through your whole lift. If you can't make it through the whole lift, we're going to do a pause set. It's going to be even harder lift, but you're going to exhale through the work. And that way you can create that TRA brace, and that'll help offload some of that pressure too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another thing we mentioned, so we mentioned incontinence, we mentioned diastasis, and we've talked briefly about prolapse on this podcast before. We haven't done a full episode on it, but we've mentioned it before. Prolapse can occur because of the weakening of those muscles or et cetera. And then a lot of the times constipation can happen. Why?
Tension, baby.
Yeah. Why would constipation happen? Pelvic floor muscle tension. And it's the same thing. Like you can't, if it's that improper coordination of the pelvic floor, and then the pelvic floor is learning these incorrect ways to coordinate with your breath pattern, with lifting, etc. Well, one of the times that your pelvic floor is coordinating is when you're trying to empty your bowels and when you need to relax and get the muscles out of the way so that your poop can come out of your butthole. All right.
Totally.
And if you're having that tension in there, then your poop is going to have a tough time coming out of your butthole.
We might need to do another pooping episode soon.
We do need to review.
Poop Like a Queen Part 2.
Poop Like a Queen revamped.
Wow, that was a great episode title.
Yeah.
Yeah, and guys, we're not just talking about powerlifting athletes. Any recreational athlete that basically, when I say powerlifter, I'm like, if you lift a barbell athlete, whether that's just in your personal fitness routine, whether you're doing CrossFit, high rocks training, actual powerlifting, anything like that. These are some common things we see. And even with people who prefer dumbbells or machines, your pelvic floor might not respond as heavily to those environments, but you can still basically detrain those muscles if you're not coordinating well.
Yeah, 100%. How should we suggest someone to get into weightlifting? If they're like listening to this episode, they're like, oh, like I really just go to the gym, I pick up some free weights, which like some dumbbells, do some squats, I do some lunges, and honestly, you're probably not making progress. Like you may be like maintaining, and it's good to get any form of movement in, But if you're having like pain and you're lifting for like to help with your pain, or you're just trying to get stronger, you're not seeing results, it's probably due to like lack of consistency and not properly loading yourself. You're probably just sticking at those like 20-pound dumbbells for your squats, and you're reaching for those same dumbbells every time because you know it's comfy. That's what I've done in the past. And I'm like, well, I haven't lifted in a couple weeks, so I'm not going to go heavier. I'm going to stay the same.
Right.
And you're not going to get stronger that way.
Right. You need progressive overload, and each muscle group that you're training wants to be worked twice a week at a minimum to actually see those changes over time. So yes, it's definitely better than nothing, because there's research that also looks at muscle growth over like a year span and total sessions in that time. And there is progress to be made, but like you're not going to see that specific strength that you might be looking for, especially if you have a symptom or a goal that you're working on, without a progressive overload program. My biggest advice is to find a gym. It depends what you like. If you like group fitness, I think there's some really good local gyms in most places that prioritize progressive overload, and you want to make sure that they really train weightlifting well. And sometimes those places will offer like a personal training session or a few so that you're comfortable for the classes. Like I used to do personal training at the gym I would train classes at too. And I didn't recommend classes for someone unless they were at a certain point with their lifting in our personal training sessions, because then I know they can safely do it in a group setting too. So I think group fitness helps a lot of people mentally get there because they have that accountability from other people in the room. Or I think there's a lot of great programming, personal training. You can work with someone in person, or they can program for you if you have a home gym and you're staying disciplined, especially if they check in on you and make sure they're checking on your progress. That can really hold people accountable. And if you are working with a PT coming out of dysfunction, like PTs can progress you to weightlifting as well and give you a program to start on if you're done with rehab. So those are some avenues, but I would say, like you talking about working with a trainer at the beginning, like find someone or something to hold you accountable.
It's accountability at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because like I find my joy through exercise from like pole dancing. Like that's what I enjoy doing. And it's not hard for me to do that because I love it so much. I do not enjoy weightlifting as much because it's hard. It's freaking hard. Pole dancing is hard, but it's like, it's different. It's like sensual movement, flow. It's like it's like creative expression. It's fun. And, you know, not saying that some people probably really enjoy weightlifting. I know that definitely people do. For me, I don't. So I do need that accountability. And I know that I will not go into the gym and lift unless someone is there making me.
Also, just getting a gym buddy, like someone you like going to the gym with, so that, hey, I have to be there at 8 a.m. because they're showing up at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Having that accountability is great too. I have done that with my friend for a really long time now. The caveat is you do have to challenge each other to not stay at that same load, because if you're just working out with a friend, you can end up chatting the whole time and not doing your exercises. And it's still a great place to start. And you just have to make sure that you're compatible with like working out with them.
I like what you said about programming, because like, let's say you are like someone like me, for example, maybe you're a PT and you like know how the body moves, you know how form should look, all that. You're not like a beginner and you just need someone to hold you accountable. Maybe you work with patients all day and you're doing programming for other people and it comes to you and you're burnt out. And I honestly feel like most of the time when we give up on something in our life, it's usually ourselves that goes first rather than our job or anything else. It's like our own self-care. So getting someone to program for you, maybe you're not necessarily meeting with the personal trainer in person if you don't want to pay for full personal training, but like getting someone to like write out a weekly program for you so that it takes off half the work. Then you just got to show up and do it.
Yeah, it's great.
There's great apps out there that trainers are using now. For me, still doesn't work. I need to go in person. I need someone to be telling me exactly what to do. So I just like don't have to think.
Your trainer, Becca, she did programming for me last year and I loved it. I'm like, give me just the things to do and I'll go do them at the gym. This is great. Maybe I got to start up with her again after those travels.
Do you think you would train with her one-on-one, or do you think you would just do some programming?
I would probably go back to programming because I have a decent routine when I'm actually in town.
Yeah.
But it's been all over the place the last one. That's the other thing.
After like June, we're going to be smooth sailing, I think.
I don't know. I think I need to figure out how to maintain my routine with travel, which is a whole nother thing with weightlifting. It's so easy to be like, oh, I had to skip 2 weeks because I was doing this, this, and that. Like you said, like I'm not just going to increase my weight after a 2-week break from weightlifting. You have to go back to what you were, if not even a little bit before that, because that might have been something you built up to. So it can be discouraging, but you're still progressively overloading if you are then increasing from there.
Yeah.
So that's the reassuring part of it all. And the longer you do this stuff, the more your body recognizes these movements. It's easier for you to get it back.
I'll say I've never felt better in my life than when I've started weightlifting with Becca.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I used to do HIIT training, kickboxing, everything. Like I've done so many different, I used to be a runner. I've tried all the avenues. I even tried being like a yogi at one point and whatever, and Pilates, everything. This is the one thing. And I'm only going once a week with Becca, and I'm working out in the gym a little bit by myself on the other time. And then I'm doing my pole dancing. But like even this like one time a week is game changing for me.
Weightlifting's the best.
And honestly, like I work out to feel better about myself. And honestly, the way that I feel like my body looks right now, though, is the most I've liked my body, because I feel strong and like I can do things. And that's why, like, I feel like in the past I've HIIT trained, I've ran, and I feel like my mental has been wrong. Like I'm just like, oh, I need to lose weight. I need to lose weight. All bodies are perfect. All bodies are great. Okay. I want you to work out to feel strong and to feel good about yourself, not necessarily having the mindset to lose weight. I think that's going to help you reach your goals, because one day you're going to look and be like, wow, I like my body.
Yeah. Feeling liberated from the HIIT and intense cardio cycle has entirely changed my life.
Yeah.
Like my favorite things to do are lift weights, pull, Pilates. I'm like and I go on long ass walks, and like if there's something to climb with elevation, I'm so down. But we live in Chicago, so there's not a lot of that.
Yeah.
But like I'll do stairs every once in a while because I like it. But yeah, that distance running, HIIT training phase of my life, I hated my body.
Yeah.
Like a lot for 3 years.
I feel like I compared myself a lot
Yeah.
to other people.
Now I'm just like, it is what it is, and I love it. And I feel strong.
Especially with running, I feel like I compared myself to people a lot, because I was like, no matter how much I'm doing, like I cannot get faster. My body is incapable of getting faster at this way. And it's because I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, at some point your body's just like, why am I doing this?
Literally.
This isn't my form of exercise.
Yeah.
That I appreciate. I don't know. Everyone's different.
I think if people genuinely love running, it is great for them. And that is the key. That's the piece. But people get into fitness and they're like, oh, I got to pick up running because I want to get fit again. No, you do not. You do not have to pick up running.
That is honestly something that people need to hear.
Yeah.
You don't need to run.
You don't need to run.
There's so many different forms of cardio that you can do. We're going to do salsa dancing. That's going to be our cardio.
I love salsa dancing.
We need to sign up for some classes.
We do.
It's on my list.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely don't have to run. But it's easy to it's an easy sport to pick up than weightlifting, because all you have to do is go outside.
Right. And most people have a pair of gym shoes, and it is accessible. Running is something that is built for all able bodies. So like humans are naturally distance runners, but the way we live now, we're not. You're not just you shouldn't just pick up and run 6 miles because your body physically can. You're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
It's still something we have to train for. We're sitting at desks all day.
Exercise, man. Exercise is tough.
Lift weights like a pro.
It's tough. It's like all mindset at the end of the day.
And consistency. It's discipline, because you're never going to feel motivated 100% of the time. So if you're relying on what you like actually want to do, it's not going to happen. If you have a goal of getting your body stronger and feeling better in your body, it is about consistency and discipline.
Definitely find something that you love to do, and also weightlift with some accountability portion, because we think it's so important and you need it even if you don't love it.
Yeah. I will say, even if you don't like strength training, you should be doing it.
Yeah. That's the toughie. But on the other side of that, find something you love doing.
Totally.
To make you feel active.
Get yourself
slack in my cardio.
Give yourself something to strength train for.
Use it to help you reach your goals and the things that you enjoy doing. That's exactly right. Like think about when we were working, if you played sports in high school, it's like, think about it as like practice and conditioning for your game. Like you're not just going to go and only play volleyball games once a week. Like you're going to practice every day.
And that's so interesting, because like kids get the most conditioning and strength out of everyone, and adults need it more.
Yeah.
Like when you're young, it's amazing that we're having kids exercise, because you're building that bone density and muscle mass at a young age, which is really important for aging. But like, for example, women start losing muscle mass in their 30s and we're doing the least conditioning of our lives. My runners are only running. They're only running distance and they're not doing any strength and conditioning. Of course you're going to get injured. Of course that's not going to be effective for you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's such a good point. Even like I've been doing like this, I did this intramural volleyball team and they just meet once a week and it's still like a great form of like exercise. But when I was like in high school, I don't know how I did that. I was like in school from 7 to 3 and then volleyball practice 3 to 5 and then home for homework, like 2 hours of volleyball practice every day unless we had a game.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is wild.
I never do that much exercise now.
High schoolers in general, they're waking up at like 5 a.m. They're getting home at like 7:30 most days if they have an after school thing.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 hours of homework? What?
It slips up in college. Like in college, it was so hard for me to find an exercise routine.
I feel like I liked my gym in college, so we had good classes.
Yeah, that's good. We just had like the JC. It was like the little like gym on our campus and it was good. But I don't know. I feel like it was like the transition from like scheduled practices every day and like having to go and have that accountability to now you're like on your own. That can be like a really hard shift for people.
Yeah.
And most high schoolers don't go to the gym in high school. So now you're like trying to learn like gym stuff for the first time.
Yep.
Like how to lift.
It is true.
And that's tricky. High schoolers are doing Pilates now. They're like going to Pilates classes.
I used to go to hot yoga in high school.
I used to go to hot yoga too, but I used to go to like it was like a charity class.
I would go to Core Power and then I would shower at Core Power and then go to high school.
That's awesome. It's badass. It's definitely like, I feel like the rise in studios, there's so many more fitness studios now that high schoolers can like get access to fitness easier now, even if they don't do sports.
And let's be real, they have TikTok.
Yeah.
Like there's so much content and like, not that you should get all your fitness advice from TikTok because a lot of
nice
it,
though.
But it is nice. And there are some really great people who program and it's just free content. And it's like, yeah, I now know these 10 exercises that no one else would have taught me.
Yeah.
And I can piece together my own routine. And then you have that creator holding you accountable because you want to be like them. So there's some good in the rise of social media too.
Exactly.
Amongst all the bad.
There is a lot of bad.
Yeah. We love weightlifting. Everyone should lift weights.
Mindset and consistency, TLDR.
And if you have pelvic floor dysfunction and you are a weightlifter or you're nervous about pelvic floor dysfunction and you want to get into weightlifting, just know that it is something we see often and we treat often, and you can absolutely do this with pelvic floor dysfunction and treat it too. And it will probably be part of your treatment, is lifting weights.
Yeah, let us know if you have questions, pelvic freaks.
Let us know. Make sure you're following us on social media at Pelvic POV. You can submit questions in our DMs or at our link in our bio.
Leave us a 5-star rating or review actually leave us a 5-star rating and a review. Please. And go to pelvicpov.co to get some pelvic freak merch.
Please.
Support.
Bye, Pelvic Freaks.
Bye, pelvic freaks.